Team are kind of sitting idle right now. Meanwhile, Jasper, Tib find themselves nice little elim there. The full finish here to build his barracks.
Kind of rotating south. They're one of those teams near 4 fields. Instead of just fighting for the actual loot and the spot and early damage, they say, hey, we have 76 points. One good game here, we're in contention of grabbing one of those spots. So I like the different approach to this game plan. This is how they were able to pick up at least one of those eliminations there. They're able to drop on, probably surprise the team there. Something that they haven't done in some of those previous games. And this is where you kind of have those tricks underneath your sleeve. You save them for the rest of the tournament, and it kind of gives you that extra little boost that you need to qualify.
I've definitely seen teams pull the strats out from the Heat's windows. Meanwhile, Shadow Virgo pretty much had done enough to be inside the top 10 via consistency. This is the first we're seeing them get what I would call aggressive in the early game, right? Every other early game, they've kind of played it safe, played for the end game. We've given them a lot of praise for their ability to stay consistent. But now you have Andrew here. And the Spider-Man just kind of sitting back. Guns drawn, ready to do the thing. They missed the first shot, Andrew follows up though. Just a little bit of damage there, but Shadow and Virgo not quite doing enough to finish the deed.
Yeah, good damage to kind of follow up on, but not enough to break the confidence that Shadow and Virgo are currently playing with. 163 points, almost nothing to lose here as the shots come in again from Shadow up above. The different angles seemingly almost too much for Andrew and his duo to fight back from. Again, being pressured, walls being stolen, Shadow just being persistent here. Virgo from the other side closing down options. There goes the first knock. Andrew goes down, and the cleanup from Shadow and Virgo. You talk about their lack of aggression in the early game, and this is right now looking like they're ramping things up.
It's the most versatile duo in the lobby, it seems like, at this point. That was very nicely done, and honestly, the angles on Shadow there easily overwhelmed them. I don't think they expect to get hit from up top, so well played for them. Aoxy, Jojo Fishy, team that started off, had a bit of a footing kind of in this, but here slipped down, trying to find their way back in. They're at the Monkey Land right now. That's how there's other duos to the north here, 2 teams actually.
If you want to see how a format like this changes things up a little bit for Aoxy and Jojo Fishy. Normally it was Sniper Dude, Avenger versus Max and Mopping, and for Aoxy and Jojo Fishy, they stayed at a distance to get Surge. But now that Max and Mopping win a game in finals, no longer here, that kind of opens up a little bit of space. So I'm a little bit of surprised to see Sniper Dude and Avenger so far away from the mending machine. We may probably have different plans to rotate in, but it just goes to show as the game continues on, it opens up different avenues and different strategies. Nut and Prom continue to find key eliminations here in the game. That's 2 overall. That's 6 extra points before placement even come in.
Tick and Mafia positioned up. Talk about those placement points. Everyone will welcome them, but for the Tick and Mafia, they just need to coast their way into an end game at this point. I was really, really impressed by what they were doing last game, but I'm not sure what team was rolled up on them. They got smashed. But they all of a sudden lost their position kind of in that mid to high ground there. Give that a second. Scuffy's in Day, okay? Still a fight that seems to be going well for them right now. Actually sitting on top of the opponents, but man, it's in the storm. Anything can happen when you're kind of taking the risk here, fighting in the zone.
One thing you feel like you know for sure, fighting this far out of the zone, is the likelihood of a third party coming in. It's almost slim to none. Wouldn't say it's impossible, but for Bloods and Akai, they just cannot play to the fact that maybe a third party will come in. Scuffy and Day, they may not know exactly where they're at. Bloods healing here may give the audio visuals up a little bit, but if they don't necessarily hear where it's coming from, they might not know where to go. So instead of staying and overstaying your welcome here, it does look like Day and Scuffy's, they've had enough of this fight. Because remember, early on in the game, before the fight even started, you saw them lurking in this direction. So they spent a lot of time and likely resources. I just hope they got what they wanted out of it.
Yeah, a little bit of damage for some is going to be more than enough to at least be content. You have to assume so, especially when you're kind of like under the 20 points in the game so far. So realistically, playing an end game is gonna feel way better than risking it all here and now. Braid's visuals though have committed early to the high ground positioning, and I respect it. They've had more than enough time to go in and bounce back, refarm all their material. Here though, they're getting a bit curious. I wonder what they left back here. What is he going for?
Yeah, I'm just not sure. Braids has a chance right now
Just
to get a
off.
Minish's card. It's just a matter of can he get a Minish kind of back in the game right now. So it might be no other option but to go outside of the zone to try to get that opportunity. Seeing the feed Curly and Rise eliminated 104 points. One of 3 teams on that 104 marker. And as of now, that's the threshold. So they're going to have to go into that last and final game of the day to try to clutch up a grand final spot. Otherwise, they're going to be going through that LCQ. Every team that does not make it into LCQ through not only the heats today, but throughout the weekend, will have that final shot in the last chance qualifier, where it's 5 more games. You win a game and you are in.
That last chance qualifier super soon too, early next week. So we'll be seeing you there as well. For now, back with Ritual. Where is Agers? Did the fight go south for them, or did Ritual manage to end up solo here? Does seem like he is by himself. So yeah, Braid's by himself. We have Rituals by himself now. He's still eyeing up Cash and Boogie. This seems to be pretty personal at this point.
See him just kind of waiting. With the 6 different pizza slices, 5 different shockwaves, there's a vending machine right to his north. It's just all about timing. Whether he has Ager's reboot card or not, you got to imagine they do have the gold, so he definitely has some flexibility, whether you kind of realize it or not. See Sandy Strip behind him, so there's a lot of time left on the board for Ritual to make a play. But even if he doesn't, the way he's been playing as a solo in multiple games so far, I still got to have that confidence in him to try to make things work, because if they're not already qualified with their points, there may be just a few more away.
Yeah, I mean, last game he surely popped off in the end game even by himself. Definitely saw that. Ritual just adding to the highlights. Meanwhile, Blake and Preston just fighting back with the vengeance here. So they got that 2 elims. Preston's getting a little bit of pressure coming in from behind here, but Blake being as cool as ever, bending up, trying to play defense here. It's actually Cash and Boogie tagging them on the rotate right now. Blake, Preston go for the shockwave off in the north side. Meanwhile, Ritual kind of goes back into the storm, right? Going straight for that reboot van here. There is still teams lurking in the storm. This is the dangerous thing about kind of zone 5, zone 6. You never really know, right? People do tend to stay behind way later than you'd expect. And then here and now. Whoa.
Yeah, that 37, that's what's really going to scare me, because even with Agers back in the game, they're on a clock here to try to get damage. You talked about other teams in the distance. Visuals and Braids in a very, very similar situation, having to get that reboot back. Don't know where their status is currently when it comes to Storm Surge, but that's 2 teams coming from the north side of the map that might clash as this game progresses. Jump on board Dragon and Freon, 61 above the damage threshold, looking to connect with a few more shots to climb that leaderboard even a little bit more. But somebody trying to make a sneak attack from down underneath. Catch them slipping, but they have that all-seeing eye, so they make sure nothing sneaks its way through.
Ritual's back in the game here. Agers that'll back up, and oh, look at this. The prime opportunity. Visuals and Braids, as we knew, Visuals already had to get picked up and saved anyways. They're 35 below, so this is a desperate time to fight, and you can't stay in the zone. I was just going to say, look at the 5 tick right now. We're getting into the dangerous end game of the storm here. Ritual, though, coming in late. Surely the team above them is going to be thinking about whether or not they need to push this team right now.
Uh-oh.
Braids, Agers falls. Oh, no.
Active Storm Surge. Instead of getting knocked, straight elimination. All that hard work from Rituals to get Agers back in the game right out the window, and he's less than 15 seconds away from going down. 39 HP to 24, and it looks like he's just gonna wait this one out. He's okay with getting eliminated here, denying at least 3 more points away from everybody else. But Aloe, listen, they probably heard that Surge Strike go down, they probably heard the elimination, and they quickly jump on over to carry up that loot.
And look, they actually got the credit there too. which is pretty unfortunate for Ritual, but it's all good. Love the little shout there to the official FNCS outfit. Love to see it. So much happening inside of Fortnite. Plenty to celebrate this weekend. As the community said, FNCS is back. Look at this fight right here. This is a Storm Surge battle on both ends. Hey, don't waste no time here. Y'all need to hit some shots, and someone surely does. But I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Vertify is barely in the game there. The siphon triggers just in the nick of time, but no, he's still 83 below here, Jacob.
Yeah, now, yep, 5 tick, trying to catch up and keep up with his own. Barely able to survive, but down to just 1 HP, 31 damage below, and spotted out by everybody north of him on that rotation. That's going to be a big elimination for them. At least they get one more chance, the 5th and final game of the day, and try to qualify for the finals through heat so that they don't have to go through the grueling LCQ. But you can see Hobby and Minish getting tagged up on their way there, over 100 above the damage threshold. That dropped them below 50, but they're still above at least.
Yeah, Surge just turning online, continuing to stay active zone to zone. And that's that desperation kicking in here. As this is game number 4. The last opportunities are before us here. Visuals Braids getting back into the action here. Really impressive though. You have to consider the fact that with Visuals being fully eliminated, right, taking out the game, resetting all that damage, bouncing back in it, now being above it as if they never were below is so impressive. When was the last time you saw Harpoon being
I
sniped
would
up like
literally
that? That feels like a throwback. Oh my gosh.
And to just harpoon a slap-a-roni pizza. That just goes to the testament of literally what you're talking about. Visuals down, Braids by himself. A great spot in zone that he had to give up just to get this reboot. And now if you look at their loadout, you would almost never guess they were down in the first place. It's Virgo taking a big shot, forced it back up. Luckily for him, they not only got the elimination, but you can see what they're fighting for. All the loot right in front. A worthwhile sacrifice for them because they're already in towards the zone. More so towards the north side where you see not too many teams are currently positioned.
Minished. He's got the high ground with Javi though. Just on the edge of Storm. I want to see if it's actually rolling this way. That'd be a pleasant surprise since they committed pretty early. Oh, it is. Okay. So, I mean, they don't have a lot of material though to kind of hold this. And yeah, you can see even a Minish here just eyeing up some of that loot down low. Thinking if it's even worth it. Probably not to go down, obviously. However, you have to do something here and now. There it is. Rex's team ends up setting that all up. Here's a replay though. How they found a set of eliminations. Big damage though. Wow. Triggering through.
This looks like Hobby hit every bullet in that clip, but one of 2 shockwaves being used. They have one more as a team, and you can kind of see why they're going for that fight. High ground's fine and dandy, but if you don't have the resource to hold it, it could cost you almost everything in a game like this. Multiple teams going from point A to point B, but it's Creon and Dragon that stop with the elevated layer. That could be a threat to their high ground.
Goes back. Blake in Preston in another endgame here, but saw that damage coming in. You have to assume it's Javi once again just connecting with that pistol. Meanwhile, Preston back with Blake. They haven't found elimination since the last time we tuned in. There it is. Preston starting to aim up the high ground. That's some good pressure too. Little do they know that high ground team is very desperate on material count right now. Love to rotate here, front side, and sweeping around the outskirts.
Yeah, honestly, being in that situation of that last game, coming into this with a whole fire, see if you get the elimination. Hobby and Diminish, though, get beat on their high ground. Stolen away for a short moment, and we talked about how much material they expended early on just to get it the first time. They have to give it up. Risen and Aldo perfectly played because they don't even end up in a fight with another team interrupting the mix. They get it all to themselves, but Jojo, Fishy, and Aoxy, they're not letting that opportunity out of their sight. They put some pressure onto the high ground, trying to chop them down once, but Aldo and Listen, they reconnected, but you can see it's barely being held together by one wall and ramp.
And Blake on the low ground actually found the refresh there in the end as well, but look at this, a Minish trying to clutch up so low right now. These are big points being earned here, but he's only got 5 builds left. So does Shadows. Shadows barely got anything, but he goes up for the high ground. Not quite enough to reach the top there. Down he goes. Meanwhile, lands in a box, and the enemy just slipped out of there. I don't even think he realized what was going on, but Shadow finds another one. Right over its JoJo there. This is just chaos.
Yeah, big elims, and it really matters. It makes the difference here at the end of the day. Blake and Preston still trying to control as much of this low ground as possible, but Blake goes down. Disaster strikes yet again. Top 8 situation, so at least half of the placement points have already been grabbed up. So for Preston, it's almost like everything is bonus. Dragon ends up in a fight, beaming from across the map. Creon's able to get into the box, save the day, builds to protect himself, but you can see he's fresh out of materials, down to the very last heals as well. Preston looking strong, though, all things considered, as a solo.
Still has the chug as well, so has a couple options to play with right now. Dragon and Creon now just running out of gas here. They need anything they can find. They see Skittles there. There goes the finish. Okay, so just giving them just enough to kind of stay in the game here. Creon's going to be rewarded with the siphon. Back in the storm he goes. It's Preston there. Preston with a monstrous shot onto both of them. And Dragon, Creon are just getting hunted down. The finish comes in from the tail end there. It's not Preston's points, but it is still a top 3, possibly top 5 here. We'll see Preston's inside this 3. Yup, looking very solid right now.
Yeah, all 3 of these teams, though, are inside of that top 10 leaderboard consistency. So this is going to open up a slot at the bottom of that leaderboard, no matter who wins. Better late than never, but Preston running out of builds, just trying to farm anything he can get his hands on. He's the solo caught in the middle. Only lasts for so long before Slepsy and Wagers clean up that elimination. 195 points. They have the Mythic, so they can definitely turn the tide if the fight starts without him. Aloe goes in as well. Slepsy down to just a little bit of HP. Wagers goes up with the shockwave and gets the first down. Aloe gets dropped. Listen is there. They trade shots back and forth, but Wagers is scrambling around, not trying to give away a free elimination, especially since they know they have the high ground, they have the advantage, and now they have the game in the bag.
And 13 eliminations to top it off. That shockwave faked out the player on the low ground. You saw him glance all the way up. Nope, he didn't go that high. He was right behind him already there. Jacob, what a game. And even for Preston to clutch up and get a top 3, that was incredible. Another victory out in the bag here as game number 4 is now wraps here, Z.
How did I blinked and today's almost over? How? Why? It's almost, no, we're gonna start it all over. Kelly, bring the board back out. We're starting the day over. Wow. All right,
production.
No. Congratulations. The Slepsy and Wagers getting themselves a victory out. I think what's really interesting about this, going into this game, Slepsy and Wagers were 12. And Listen and Aloe were actually 13th, right? So if we look at that top 5, this is basically like 9th and 10th, kind of fighting it out. So this means now everyone's getting pulled up in the leaderboard. So for game number 5, it's going to be super, super close. But I'm excited to see that Slepsy Wagers got themselves that VR, right? Again, confidence boost. Now it's one thing. Focus on next week's finals. Really prep and bring everything you've got, because you got Summit Land. You can't miss that.
I mean, Zeke, beyond them even getting this victory royale, they went from 8 eliminations over the course of the first 3 games to getting 13 eliminations in that one game. Easily the most amount of eliminations that we've seen so far, if not probably for the rest of the day, Vivid.
Yeah, that actually breaks the record for most eliminations today, including the EU games earlier today. So big win from Slepsy and Wagers. And guess what, guys? I'm going to sound like a broken record right now. Once again, we have somebody making their first FNCS Grand Finals for the 3rd time in a row through a win. That's going to be Wagers. Has not been to an FNCS Grand Finals yet. We're going to be seeing him there for the first time. And Slepsy on the other side as well. Very similar situation with this duo among some of the other ones we've seen win today. He's only made it to 1 Grand Finals so far, so just going to be his 2nd one. But what a way to kind of do it, right? You qualify for your Grand Finals, and the way you do that, 13 eliminations and a win in a lobby like this, incredible stuff.
Again, man, it's all about confidence, right? And I love to see that. I love to see players getting that chance, right, to go into a finals lobby. It's going to be a different animal entirely, but to still make it there, that's got to mean everything to this duo. So unbelievable stuff. Now, one game left to go before we call wraps for heat number 1. First, a break. When we return, we'll take a look at that leaderboard. We'll start to look at who's in contention, and we'll get ready for that final game. Don't go anywhere. One game left to go. I'm nervous. It's fine. Everything's fine. In case you missed it in that last game, Slepsy Wagers got themselves a victory royale, which means they're going straight through to finals. But we got to get right into this. Okay, let's take a look at this leaderboard. Okay, it's very simple. All right, you want to make it to finals? No problem. Let's get a victory royale in this last game on the day, or we end top 5. Now, top 5 isn't what it looks like on here. It's really top 15 because 1st through 4th have already got themselves a victory royale. So basically, we want to end in the top 15. I'm quite nervous, but that's okay. Let's kind of break a couple things down. Once again, in this last game, we saw Preston take it to a solo clutch. And I don't know about you guys. For a moment, I was like, I really hope they did not take a ton of storm damage. Like, I already saw Preston, like, at the end. You know, like, I really believed in my heart of hearts that Blake was just going to get through. But they're still looking really good, right? They're in a very good spot going into this last game, but we still need to have a good last game.
Yeah, where are they? They're currently sitting in our top 5, right, or top 5 in consistency right now. So I think that they're probably in a pretty positive position to make it into the grand finals through consistency. If we actually look at EU, the qualifying cutoff was 143 points, and they're currently sitting at 203 points. All right, Hobby and Diminished, you know, with not 193 points as well, a team that we consistently look at, even though they've dropped down 2 placements right now. I think that they're also pretty much in a pretty safe position. Currently, 15th place, 120 points, Vivid. So there is a lot of opportunity to grow for some of the teams that are kind of below that threshold. But as far as Hobby and Diminished are concerned, I don't think they have to worry too much.
No, I mean, they're playing pretty consistently right now. Like you mentioned, 193 points. The only thing that's got me confused, it's like, I feel like over the course of these last couple of games, games 3 and 4, and you know what, I'll just throw games 1 and 2 in the mixture there. Oh my gosh, if you just saw that, what just happened. Yeah, Hobby just getting edited down real quick. That's how that one kind of turned out for them. But every single game, they have been on hype for at least some amount of time. And it felt like in games 3 and 4, it was going to be like a continued story of how well they played in games 1 and 2. They were kind of just going to be able to ride out that high ground all the way until the end game and kind of compete for, you know, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, whatever it may be. But again, it's kind of like you blink and you might miss it, and they just kind of fall and you're like, whoa, like what happened to the team that was just on high ground? Obviously, we saw a little bit of what just happened to them right there, but I love the fact that they're going for high ground every single game. I would just love to kind of see them return back to form, see them holding that again.
I will say, every time we've watched them in the end game, it does look like Hobby and Diminished are kind of waiting a little bit patiently to go for high ground. They're not going it for too early, which we've seen some teams make that mistake, but they're going for high ground, and it feels like they're doing it just because they feel like they need to. And they don't have really the loadout or the materials to be able to hold high ground. But I think that they're in their mind, they're just like, oh, well, this is the win condition. We need to go for high ground right now. So they're going for it regardless of what their loadout's looking like. And they're so good that they're able to kind of grab it and steal it, but they're not able to hold it. So I would love to see them kind of just try and position themselves away from that win condition instead, and looking towards maybe just running the low ground, running the mid ground instead.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is because this is a win-in situation, right? Like, even if you're in the top 10, so okay, there's 2 kind of spots I'm thinking about. If you're in the top 10, you're trying to stay in the top 10. If you're not in the top 10, all hope isn't lost. You just need a VR right here, right now, right? But also, if someone in the top 10 goes through, everyone else is getting shifted up, right? So I think we turn over the page and we look at that top 15. Skidler right now at 120. And Kelly, you called out kind of that EU qual range, right? So even someone like Curly and Ryzen 17th, they still have a shot, right? We can even see, you know, the team all the way at the bottom. If they get a victory royale, they're still going to final. So this last game is critical, right? Like, even if you're in a position where you're not in that top 10, you really can't let it all go, right? Kelly, you kind of have to be like, hey, this is it. This is our one game to either get top 10, get a VR, or hope that someone in the top 10 gets a VR and pulls us up into the top 10. Like, it's so complex
I love that you bring that up too, because in this situation, when we're in the final game for Heats, this is kind of the opportunity for some of our maybe tier 2, tier 3 teams to really shine, because a lot of our bigger teams have already qualified through. But if you look at like the names that we still have in contention, as well as the teams that we have that have already qualified through, it's a lot of our veterans that are still in the competition right now. So maybe that opportunity for someone to steal away a victory royale in the final game is no longer there, Vivid.
Yeah, obviously, we're using EU as a reference point, right? 143 points was what it required over there. I do want to know, obviously, this is probably going to be different over here on NA, but one thing that I would not be surprised to see kind of happen is what we saw over on EU was actually the jump in the threshold. Going into Game 5, top 15 was 95 points on EU. And then it ended up being 143. So that threshold changed by like 50 points just over the course of that last game. So, yeah, even though you're around that top 15 spot, these teams cannot feel safe or secure for their grand finals ticket.
Man, oh man, you do not want to take it to the last chance, right? Last chance qualifier is hard. You know, you do not want to take it there. You want to get a VR here or end in the top 10. One game left to go for the last time today. MDF, Jacob, over to you.
It's already sad to see, Monster, that we're in the last game of the day. Luckily, we have Heats 2 and 3 tomorrow, but this is the team's last chance to make it in through Heats before they go through the LCQ. And the game is starting. Let's get right into it.
That's right, Game 5 is here, the last one of the evening on NA, and a little bit of a late show as well, so thanks to everyone staying up, watching some good Fortnite here. You saw that top 15. Vivid made an excellent point. This threshold is going to jump up by a significant number. And I saw teams that I recognize down there. Skittles, TK, Verts Duo, right? There's very notable, very experienced veteran teams that are not inside the top 15, or better yet, barely hanging on, Jacob.
Yep, it's one of those moments to where everything you played for from the start of the year, technically up until now, truly gets put to the test. And right now that point threshold is 125 points. It's obviously going to increase as the day goes on, but Prom, this is one of those teams that was going for that straight 50-50 right out of the gates, right on the drop, and they haven't been winning it. That's why you don't see very many points on them. I like their strategy to switch teams up. With 4 games already done and gone, 4 drop spots open up, why not play yourself out and give yourself a shot?
Love it. I love seeing duos have a winner's mentality, not giving up. That's the beauty of like this entire Heats format, the LCQ, situation we have on hand. You really do have a chance. These players scrim, practice, and play all types of other competitive in-game lobbies, and they've won, right? So they know it's all possible. It's just a matter of piecing it all together. And yeah, this may not be the most difficult stage, so yeah, you should be trying to win every single game, every chance you got, regardless of it.
Rising Curly this time around. We saw in game 1, they split this drop. They actually performed decently well. The rest of the games, they kind of fought it out. They had some successes, but they also some downfalls. This time around, they're going back to just playing this game out. They're trusting their game IQ. They're trusting their strategy. My only worry for them is they're getting a little too close to Sandy Strip, Agers, and Ritual, who have almost nothing to lose in this last game of the day. You jump around, new Sanctuary, south side of the map. Got Illusion and Vivifies over here, and this is one of those contested drops to where even if you win it, it's so hard to make it out alive, because New Sanctuary is kind of in a canyon in towards the middle, and there's so many teams and split drops around that are going to box up, knowing you have to leave and try to get surge tagged.
And right now, obviously, they don't have any visuals on the outskirts, so folks can just roll up, set up an ambush. But the thing about ambushes, you're kind of boxed in down here, caught out, trying to steal some loot, caught with the hand in the cookie jar, if you will. Already lost his teammate, and there goes the full finish. So vibes looking pretty good right now. Big finish up, clean up, looks just about the way they want it. And off to a mid game they go. Back to the other side. So Rising Curly rotate into Ritual and Agers. Rituals and Agers, I feel like after last game, probably want to prove something right now, as Boogie and Cash gave them a little run for their money, took away a bit of their opportunity to crack, right? Like, so I'm thinking they're going to want to play a serious, strong game out right here to close up the game.
Yeah, the timing for, looks like Rise and Curly couldn't have been more perfect. Aegis and Ritual already looted that side of Sandy Strip, and when they typically push out of their POI, it's towards the east of Fort Field. It's towards the southeast side of the map, so they don't necessarily return to that northern part of Sandy Strip this early in their game plan, so they might have escaped possible danger, but there's other teams nearby, so hopefully for Rise and Curly, they don't get caught off guard and able to scrap together a loadout they feel confident going into the rest of the game with.
Talking about TK, you see his team off in the distance. Seems like they put Rogue's team on the heels as Aoxy and Jojo are watching it go down. It's a team that is in contention, essentially, for the consistency placement points. Still have a ways to go, but an endgame is not out of the conversation, definitely not out of reach. Shadow and Bird on the other side, getting their hands absolutely messy here. Chasing down visuals and braids. I don't really remember where we left off on their points, but like we talked about it, no one is completely safe in this setting here.
Trying to quickly look at the leaderboard and just figure out where visuals and grades are. Okay, so they're, I want to say what, 15th would be at 125. They're around 13th place right now, visual to grades, 153. Things will change up if a team above them wins a game, so it's not exact, but going into this game, about 13th place. But the point gap is so close. Outside of maybe teams inside of the top 5, it's just one mistake could cost you your qualification through heats into the grand finals. And that's where I think in some aspects of this game, it will speed up. You see 72 players left alive. It's only second game, our zone, so this is going much faster than every other game so far. But there's going to become a point in time where everybody starts to play safe as Agers takes the bet that he's going to win the 1v1. Fool sprays to the other side, gets the knock. Ritual gets the cleanup. So they survive a narrow fight.
Yeah, Adrian's almost left for grit in that one, but Tibbs has to leave Jasper's reboot behind. Off he goes. Burning through those splashes as well, so they're not going to get rewarded with anything from this elimination here, other than points that they don't exactly need. Virgo, Shadow on the other side, seem to have finished up the deed on one player, kind of jump in, find Andrew and his duo here as well. Over at the studios, so we'll play for them. Already at 3 elims right now. This is the other side of Virgo and Shadow, almost the play-in side that we missed out on, right? Watching them play so aggressive, but look at this, Adrian, what's going on? Adrian is trying to lead the push here, and it's Rituals coming through, cleaning things up. Ritual just seems to be playing like insanely well today.
Yeah, and if you're Agers, though, that's got to be a whole nother level of confidence, saying, hey, I went down early, we're still going well. I went down a little bit early in another game, I got rebooted. I can count on Ritual, and this is another example. And honestly, I can kind of see when you're playing with, like Kelly said, Peterbot and Cold in a trio format, somebody has to do the boring work, and that was Ritual most of the time. Now we're seeing him in a duo setting, and he is popping off.
Yeah, definitely. Look at this little clutch right there, breaks the bills, and dash roll Agers to just keep himself alive and in the game. Gotta respect the effort at the end there. But yeah, Ritual's just been playing, honestly, exceptional Fortnite. And again, you talk about someone who's got like this IGL title, right? Like on his shoulders, but man, he's so good. He's fragging. He's playing the best that he's ever played.
Kyan over here, and this is where you can kind of see, we talked about 125 being on the line. They're that next place team, 16th, or say 11th in terms of overall consistency. They're only 5 points down, Monster. And I said this earlier, we've seen FNCS majors be decided by less than one elimination. Why not a trip to the grand finals as well? Shadow and Virgo continues their aggression. You said it early on to start this game. They're getting a little bit more aggressive early on this game, unlike any other one that we've seen so far. And they're continuing that trend. Prez and Liam, they got to watch out. Full health Shadow and Virgo are trying to break their way into that box.
I'm watching here. Big shot comes through. The follow-up is good as well. You see that combat AR putting in that big pressure there, but Virgo not looking to do anything too risky. Tries to wait for Shadow to back him up, but no. Punishment comes in. So Liam and Press playing really well right now. I'm gonna go ahead and all just hit a little reset initiation here, and Shadow and Virgo, yeah, I was gonna say likely to give it up. Probably not too confident, right? The way that one played out, so why not just give that fight up?
Liam and Prez, 22 points. They're just in a situation here with their backs up against the wall where they have to win this game if they want to dodge that LCQ. Which, hey, anything can happen here. We've seen it happen before in history, so it's not out of the ordinary. 125, Sniper Dune Avenger. This is the team that I'm talking about on the line. And this is kind of scary if you see that two of the teams, Max and his duo, landed Wonky Land. They qualified, so you got to watch out for any other teams, Cop, that intend to land Wonky Land in the grand finals. And if Avenger and Sniper Dude actually qualify as well, we could see multiple teams landing at Wonky Land in finals this season unless anybody has a change of heart.
Yeah, that'll definitely change things up as far as the overall narrative is concerned here. We gotta get there first. See how it ends up playing out. I mean, and yeah, again, you talk about the next two heats, right? Like someone's gonna, multiple teams I'd assume is probably gonna fall out of the Wonky Land. So I'm surely expecting a contested finals, if you will, but we'll see. You know, things always shake up, right? Like who really wants to fight Clicks anyways? Teams would think twice.
This is the fight we've seen a few times throughout the day. Both of them in a similar situation of having to win this game in order to qualify for the grand finals here and now. You can kind of see the situation that they're in. They're not far away from zone. Sus Studios even has the mending machine for the HP if they are lacking anything. It's just about how you're going to get out safely. One of the biggest hurdles in a lot of these teams' game plan is how they're handling Surge when the zone rotates so far away.
Yeah, and Day's team just has continuously fought inside the storm, so it's all trouble there. Meanwhile, the other team I talked about, Ver and Barney, just on the outskirts again, looking through that glass window, trying to break in, trying to see what they can get done here. Atlas and Slays are off, though. That team takes off here, so they actually have 5 elims. Okay, so Atlas and Slays are playing some good Fortnite.
Taking that north side of the map, kind of working their way down. Kind of what we've seen throughout the majority of the day. 43 points, again, another team where we can kind of see the storyline unfolding right before our very eyes. If they're going to make it to the grand finals through heats, going to need a big win. And where the zone is kind of going, I have to make sure I kind of see it fully, but it seems like it's going to be a sort of center zone. You see Dark Dominion there just outside the edge of the zone, so it does have a western lean, but for the most part, as of now, it is centered up. Still 8 zones to go to pull these players around. As you jump on board Rise and Curly, 104 points. You know, they were inside of that bubble throughout the majority of the day, but going down early in that last game put them in this position here. Just luckily for them, they still have 2 win conditions.
Here's this fight going down for Shadow and Virgo. Fast, furious here to go ahead and try to finish up the elimination off the Phoebe, who's off to the races right now, running through the outskirts, but no, Virgo gets caught in the crossfire by other duos that were watching this aggressive chase happen here, and what looked like a perfect way to set themselves up for the end game here ends up turning disastrous. Now forced to double back here. What happened?
Just kind of by that stat, you know, they lead the lobby in damage dealt, but also in damage taken. The duality of the sword, where sometimes you can make a lot of big plays happen, but sometimes you get stuck like that. There's Rogue, Spear, trying to break in the box onto Jojo Fishy, and they do get the elimination. That's big for them. You can see they're missing a little bit of loot, or they were up until they were able to pick up the loadout. The Shadow going back for the reboot over towards Humble Hills, runs into a whole nother team, but not just one. It looks like 2 overall.
I was gonna say, but you know, for Shadow Virgo, they have nothing to worry about. They know they have enough points, so it's a much different level of pressure. It was actually Phoebe who was still there. Shadow just putting shots down, just letting them know he's not messing around. Meanwhile, he finds a solo he was originally engaging on, and you know he's gonna come back and likely look to finish it. But instead, he says, "All right, I want to play this game out. We still want to win. You gotta respect them trying their best here. This is good."
Come with its own risk. Trying to see who's all looking the way. Maybe Fabio, Broken and Sandman, top of the mountain. But with nobody directly nearby, this might be a chance. Even if he gets knocked, that Shadow can try to go and get it. But it does look like Virgo is going to make it most of the way down. So even though we might have some questions about the loot, what is it going to look like, how they're going to get it, they're at least giving themselves a shot at getting back together as a duo.
So I think Phoebe ends up falling too, but look at this. Eoxy Jojo rotate right into Rogue, FNBR, and Spear. They get the initial tag. Although they were caught off by surprise, Eoxy gets finished and Spear comes through and seems like, man, just to pick one up himself. Like that. These are all new teams trying to fight for that victory out here and now. City, Flexes, still inside the game. Elution Vibe still in this game as well.
Rotating in 205 points. They're basically going against Blake, Preston, Shadow, and Virgo for the #1 team in terms of consistency. Not having won a game on today, but you're kind of seeing the struggles that Rise and Curly are actually going through. Yeah, they have their loadout, their iron pump, their pistol, 3 slices of pizza, but 50 on the Chug Jug, and you notice that he has this zip line. There's no shockwaves, no gloves. That zip line, it can cover distances quick, but it leaves you at the utmost risk of getting tagged. You're not going to be able to ride it long, so good luck to them if they plan to actually use it.
This Shadow, Virgo, south of the zone right now. Action just doesn't stop for them, but the zone favoritism doesn't hurt, given that they just rebooted their way back in. We have Preston and Blake positioned up right above them, just kind of on the mountain here, looking downwards. Virgo and Shadow know there's danger nearby. Saw those teams lurking inside this same building, outside the warehouse. The wide view giving us how many duos are starting to position up around here.
Slips in Toronto. This is troublesome right now. 159 points. So they're inside of the bubble when it comes to consistency, but 523 below the damage threshold. Not a vote of confidence at all. Rise and Curly, similar situation, not as drastic, which means that one elimination there is going to get them one step closer to consistency, but also above that damage threshold. Toronto slips. They go from 500 to 438, but that is over 2 full health eliminations here.
They need to jump in a box yesterday. Like, it is getting late. There it is. Nice little knockoff for Tony. You have another opportunity here. They go for the down body first. Get a couple tags here. Not quite enough to get them out of the fire, though. No. This little brief bit of hesitation. There goes another team getting greedy right here. Are they gonna push out of the box? They're gonna sit back and blow through what's left of their heals. This might be a huge mistake. I think they needed to go for that that stone wall that was just getting refreshed right there when they had a chance. But hey, the 50-player threshold hits in. They get to buy themselves a little bit of room now. There's a great tag here on the rotate, Jacob.
Yeah, damage is absolutely needed. I was going to say, it's not over just yet. We do need to get down to around 40 players, and all that work seemingly going to waste from 500 to 300, back up to 500, end up in a fight. Good damage, but Slips taking about 150 himself, so it's not really going to move the needle in terms of Storm Surge, but they're continuously pushing themselves to their limits. They push up onto one, but melee shockwaves away. All these opportunities at damage are going right out the window as they still have to cover more distance to get in. Luckily for them, in this moment, Storm Surge is deactivated, but a couple of seconds, it's going to turn right back on.
So interesting how it works. You take that damage, and all of a sudden you're, again, losing in the exchange, right? You really have to give out more than you receive. Clock is still ticking, though. They're still in the race. 169 is impressive nonetheless. They could, again, be inching their way up to what might just be the bar, right? They're almost setting the threshold potentially here. So even if they do fall early, can they get more points? There it is, a little bit more placement points. They're still in this right now.
Yeah, that cushion, they just need to continue to do that. Either eliminations or just taking out a full team, because 61 below. Toronto goes down. Storm Surge doesn't take him out yet, so they can still get the revive. Tags. Good job on the Slip to do that. Get the tags in. Storm Surge actually turns off. They get to 40 players, but Slip's realizing, I cannot be the hero in this situation. I just have to get more points. I think he made a wise decision here.
I love it. I love him just rotating out, playing smart, going for placement points. That is the difference here and now. Instead of getting greedy there, all he has to do is just maintain life, choose life, and earn points here and now. 175. Meanwhile, Rise and Curly are just clawing their way up this hill now. They need to jump up 50, 60, 70 points if they want to solidify their way into consistency here. It's going to be very close now. Meanwhile, on high ground, here's a team going for a win, trying to really shake things up, change up the narrative.
Yeah, and they're already inside of that bubble as well. So if this team here, Albo and Listen, do end up with a victory royale at the end of this one, it opens up a spot at the bottom of that consistency leaderboard. And right now, it doesn't look like they're going to give it up easy. Looking down below, trying to put pressure. Aloe even reconnecting, so getting chopped is going to be a much more difficult task. There's Curly and Rise down below. You can see the two different stages. A team up above that has very little to worry about versus Rise and Curly on the ultimate low ground, having to sacrifice HP just so they can get to the front side of the zone.
Love the rotate though. Very nicely done. It's going to position themselves way ahead of the pack here. They're looking like they're cut above the rest, but no, Curly gets caught off on the tail, and a duo jumps right down. And it's status in higher came there, unfortunately, and now Rise is left as a solo. This is going to be near impossible to try to win. Meanwhile, high ground is just snatched up by Agers and Ritual. They're trying to make a splash here to conclude the night. Trom still in the game, barely 127 points. He gets shut down. Off to the lobby he goes. His run is now over. Slips, falls too. 188 is how far they managed to make it. Meanwhile, Virgo gets a knock on someone up top, but it is just back and forth.
139 points here for Rise. It's all on his shoulders. We've seen Rise contend for FNCS championships, and now he's trying to contend here just to make it to the actual finals. 147 points. If him and Curly figure out a way to make it through and qualify here in Heats, you got to give him a big thank you. But everybody else still not letting go. Freon, Dragon, over 200 points. They find another elimination, just crushing dreams in their path as they make it up the side of the mountain. Ages Ritual, they gave up high ground, but only for a moment as they re-chop it down. That's Prez who has to give it up, but up goes Skindler, up goes Cayenne. They're ready to challenge as well.
This is like a worst case scenario, right? The teams that are on the line getting this win, pushing you out. Skidler's kind of be the only one left alive right now, so it's not looking good for Skittles. He's got no match. 6 teams remaining. Meanwhile, Javi and Amish. If you're everyone else in the lobby fighting for a consistency spot, this is what you want. You want a team that is dominating to win the game so that a position opens up, so that the threshold is a little bit easier. And Skittles is still in the running right now. And the opportunity here to earn some points. They've got Agers on the backside here. It's going to come down to who can be quicker on the draw. Wow. It's just going to be Agers. Unfortunately, 171 for him, and puts Agers up just popping off right now here. It's his turn.
Yeah, didn't even need the points, but he ends another run, even taking down a Minish. That could have been a fight for first place by itself, but Javi's still alive. Dragon and Creon still alive. Everybody in this game is over 200 points, so somebody at the bottom of consistency has just been gifted a slot. But for Javi, it's about first place. For Dragon and Creon, it's about making a statement. Shockwave coming out from down below. Can't cause too much confusion as Javi does get chopped down. Finally, a chance to fight toe-to-toe as Creon goes up. He takes a huge punch, drop down to 46 HP. Javi having to do the same thing, sacrificing storm damage just to get to the front side of the zone, but his chances might be running out. We're going up the mountain. Pressure coming out from Dragon and Creon as well. He's going to need a miracle to survive this. Javi with the shockwave, and it's not going to be enough. Creon and Dragon not only win that game, qualify for grand finals, but definitely put the leaderboard to the test.
Nicely done for them. And once again, if you are someone who is fighting for consistency, Jacob, you're happy, you're smiling, you're saying, oh my gosh, thank God someone with 200 plus points took that victory royale there. Well, from us here at the desk, that's wraps. Game 5 is over there, Zeke.
Guys, Jacob, MDF, fantastic cast on the day. My gosh, day 1 of Heat, 1 of a 3-day weekend of Fortnite. Fantastic day. So many incredible things happened today, but like they called out, right? Creon getting themselves a victory royale. They were in that top 10, right? So we're pulling everyone else in that leaderboard up. So now if you're outside the top 10, you're thinking, did we do enough? Did we get those points we needed to make a difference here? And I mean, for again, to shout out Creon and Dragon again, we saw them in that last game, right? These guys were moving and grooving, and now they give themselves a victory royale. So there's even more credibility to the duo, which it makes me excited, right? Because then we take it to a finals lobby, and it's like, okay, yeah, I remember them back in Heat 1. They were kind of cracked.
I mean, to add to the credibility of this duo right here, not only are they pretty experienced veterans, but they got a 4th and a 3rd place as well throughout the day. So that victory royale within their grasp throughout the 5 games that we saw, and for them to finally get it in the final day. Vivid, that is how I want to wrap things up for my Heats.
Yeah, absolutely. It was not an easy win there at the end at all. We kind of saw the chaos happening towards the high ground, and somehow Creon and Dragon, they were the ones that kind of ended up being the healthy team. Not only, the team up on the high ground, but also somehow healthy in that regard amongst all of that chaos. And there were just so many solos left. Cleaned it up very, very nicely. But Zeke, obviously, 5 games down. We saw who won that one. The big question mark is, though, who qualified? Who was going to Grants?
We gotta find out. We take a look at the leaderboard to see. Now, remember, when we look at this, you're looking at the top 15. Those top 5, they're gonna have 1,000 points. Don't freak out, Timmy. It's fine. That just means they got a victory royale. They are going through. So all the way to the top there starts in 6th place. Agers and Ritual coming in first. We kind of knew that, right? These guys were incredible. To see Hobby and Diminish as well, only 8 points behind. They were definitely thinking about this like a finals lobby, right? Like I feel like some duos would look to just get the VR and move on, but to kind of sit there and go like, no, we need to practice. If this was a finals lobby, we need to be consistent if we want to place and go to Summit.
Well, I mean, if you missed my incredible segment at the start of the show, you would know that Hobby and Administer are relatively new as a duo just before Major 1 forming together. So you're totally right, Zeke, having this opportunity to play a few games together and still be able to prove to everyone that there is a reason why they got 1st place out of the play-ins, to see them perform so well right now. I just love to see it, Vivid. But we got so many big names here. I love that Blake and Preston, who were so close to auto-qualifying, still break it into our top 10. And then, of course, one of your favorite duos, Shadow and Virgo there as well.
I feel like they didn't have like a necessarily pop-off game or anything like that, like I'm kind of used to out of Shadow, but they played consistently throughout the day, picking up 3rd place on that consistency leaderboard, so that's going to be definitely enough to make them go to the grand finals. Also, got to give a big shout out to Listen and Aloe. I feel like their last couple of games were really good, and yeah, that follows suit. Taking a look at their match history, the game number 4 was a 2nd place, and then that last game right there was a 6th place. So they got a majority of their points just in those last 2 games. Now that we've talked about all of the teams that are on the first page, Zeke, we know what time it is.
2nd page time. That's right. 15th is the cutoff. Let's take a look. I am happy to report 14th place, Curly and Rise do make it through. This is big, right? Like this is a duo we were kind of looking to. Recently formed, a Vet and Rise, right? Now, if we look at some of their placements, we did have 2 kind of not great games, 43rd and a 42nd. But remember, these guys were contested, right? So maybe going into finals, that changes. Maybe they look to switch things up. I don't know. But either way, they've done it, right? They can say, hey, look, we're making finals. Now we need a plan for that. But still, Kelly, I love seeing them qualify. It gives me such high hopes.
Yeah, I mean, again, we were talking about the start of the show. They have not even played a Div Cup together. So for them to go from that to this being contested and to still qualify through, I am so happy for them. Hopefully they're going to be able to get some practice in over the next week to see a better performance coming out of the grand finals, because I'm sure 14th place is probably not exactly where they wanted to be, but big shout outs to the Tick and Mafia for getting that last place spot right there. An 8-point difference between 15th and 16th place, but it's not over yet, Vivid, for all the teams that didn't qualify.
Yeah, they will have one more opportunity to make it to grand finals. That'll be on Monday and Tuesday, that last chance qualifier. I'm happy to report there, right? We saw right there, 15th place was 145 points. We kind of went into that game at 120. We were kind of talking about, maybe there's going to be another, 50-point jump. Now, only a 25-point jump there. And, surprisingly, EU at 143 points over there was kind of the cutoff, and 145 points here. So actually, only a 2-point difference. So good to see that the 2 regions kind of had a very similar threshold. That'll be something to think about as we continue on throughout the weekend, throughout the rest of the heats.
You know, that's true, but that is only Heat 1, right, Viv? Like, we have 2 more days of Heat, and for them and for us, these Heats could look very different tomorrow, right? Brand new duos coming in, new spots taking over, new people being contested or not. Like, there is so much to be excited for. As we start to wrap up, I want to give you guys the floor. Anything to say before we start to say goodbye?
I'd just like to apologize again to everyone. Thank you guys, everyone. It's been so long since the FNCS Global Championship, so I'm so excited that we're back. We got a little taste with the Reload Elite Series, but honestly, the FNCS, it's the storylines, it's the drama and the rivalries that I love to see, so I'm excited that we're back, Vivid.
Yeah, nothing compares. You could just tell right as soon as that first game kicked off, even on EU, it was like so stacked. There were so many teams alive, and we can have as many set lobbies as we want through like the Div Cups and the performance evals, but nothing ever plays out like an FNCS lobby does. Happy to report that NA went exactly as it usually does. It was fun, it was chaotic, and it was very, very competitive. I'm excited to jump back into the action over the course of the weekend.
Ooh, Fortnite fam, we hope you guys are excited as well. Don't forget, tomorrow we will be back. EU will be before us. They have Heat 2, then we'll come back. Then Sunday they'll go. We'll go 2 more days, and then last chance qualifier, and then finals. So much Fortnite to watch over the next week or so. Also, don't forget, Triple Threat is in the item shop. I repeat, Triple Threat is in the item shop. Absolutely incredible. Check it out. That's it for us for tonight, though. We can't wait to get back up with you guys tomorrow for more Fortnite. So until then, we love you. Keep yourself safe. We'll see you on that battle bus. Woo!
That was
That went by. Oh,
That went by.